So welcome to BlitzBe today. And today I'm really excited to have Phil Guinouard with us. And I'm going to let you, Phil, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, how people can find you, and maybe a little bit about your background.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Monica. So my name is Phil Guinouard. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. And my business is Legacy Creator LLC. And you can actually go to my website at philguinouard.com. And that is Phil, PhilGuinouard, D as in David.com. But my first career was restaurants. I spent almost 30 years in the restaurant industry. I specialized in opening up new restaurants, turning around underperforming restaurants for a couple of regional chains here in Phoenix that went public in the 80s, TGI Fridays, International House of Pancakes. Altogether, I've opened and turned around about 80 restaurants. And the last two were, one was my own restaurant that I bought in 1993, turned it around and sold it 6.5 years later for approximately 15 times what I bought it for. And then I started a business in the world of credit card processing merchant services. Built that up over about a 8 or 10 year period. And for the last 17 years, I've actually been working with a manufacturing company in the area of health and wellness. And I've actually transformed my life in that area. So when I got out of my restaurant career and I moved more into a sales kind of a position, and it was networking and client lunches and mixers in the evenings, and then, 3 girls growing up in school, and, every night seemed like there was either a sports activity or some school activity. So life just kind of got out of balance. And so eating as well as we could, going to the gym just wasn't something in the game plan at that point in time. And I ended up at 318 pounds. I have actually dropped 100 plus pounds and have kept it off for more than 14 years now. And I think that that's pretty more remarkable, because most people can, lose weight, but it usually comes back, and that had been my experience. So I actually named my company Legacy Creator LLC for really 2 reasons. Number one, I wanted to leave a legacy for my 3 daughters. They're all grown now. So whatever I did, I wanted to have it all focused on a legacy business that I could leave an income to my daughters. And then the second piece to that is I wanted to help other people create a legacy for their family. And so that's why I named my LLC Legacy Creator LLC. Let's see, what else is there to know about me? I am a gym advocate. I go to the gym on a pretty regular basis, 3 to 4 days a week. I got into doing triathlons and road cycling in the last 3 to 5 years through actually one of my clients that I work with him on some nutritional side of his life. And he has ended up doing multiple triathlons, Ironmans, and qualified and ran in the Boston Marathon 2 years ago. So that's a little bit about me. Other than that, I'm not quite sure what else to share with you. But I'll let you ask questions.
Yeah, got it. Sounds like you have had a full life with lots and lots of different experiences, from restaurants to health in your business, and then with your family, with 3 girls and raising a family, and then the weight loss is amazing. And this amount of transformation that you've been able to make for yourself is to do all the things that you're talking about, and to get, we all start from somewhere, and then we all have a story, and that's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very cool. So you shared a little bit about what you're doing today, a little bit about the past. Even the next question I was going to say was, what is your big dream? And it sounds like you're kind of living the big dream because of the legacy company, but let you tell us what the big dream is.
Yeah, so I loved my career in the restaurant business. It was a very exciting, always changing business, very detail oriented. However, when I had my own restaurant for 6.5 years, it got to the point where I knew to live the kind of a life that I wanted to live and to make the kind of financial impact in my life and others' lives, I was going to have to open up more locations as either an independent or franchised concept. And those two things I'd already done in corporate America, and I knew what it would take to do those. And I decided that that's not where I wanted to be, because I want to live a life, I want a quality of life. And, you know, in my restaurant career and in so many aspects of people's lives, their life fits into the crack of their business or their career. And I didn't want that. So for me, I really am, while I'm still hungry to achieve goals, I am very satisfied with where I'm at in my life, because I've got the balance of the amount of work that I want to do, the time freedom to do the things that are important to me. Not only, like, I start every morning with what I call the miracle morning. So I get up and I do gratitude, I do affirmations, I do some meditation. Obviously, I go to the gym, I do some journaling, and I've really created that life. And, you know, 3 years ago, I was actually able to do a mission trip to Kenya, Africa for 12 to 13 days that, you know, I never would have been able to do with my merchant credit card processing business or my restaurants, because you just can't walk away. And now I've got a business that actually gives me that freedom time-wise, that it's not super intensive customer service-wise. So I am truly living my life, and I want more out of life, but I'm in balance.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hear big words, you know, in your big dream. I hear freedom, I hear balance, and then dreams. It sounds like, because of the way you've created your dream, your big dream, before you were strapped a little bit, and there was less freedom, there was less wiggle room. And now the way you've created legacy, the latest part of your dream, it sounds like you've created that in a way where you have that balance and you have that freedom and you have that ability to say, I want to go to Kenya on a mission trip, and I'm gonna. That's thank you. I guess I would say, because being able to manage your life in that way is big. And then also being able to give back. And so just much gratitude for you. Yeah, beautiful. With all that, the next question I would have is, from looking at, I love how you talked about what your day begins with. What time does your day start? How does a whole day look in the life of Phil? You know, if you were to say, okay, I do this, and then how do you manage time? I know that we're in a pandemic. Everything is different than it was right now because of the pandemic. What kinds of things have shifted in your calendar? And, you know, just share with people a little bit about, because it sounds to me, and you share with me, that you're on a healing journey and you're on a transformative path, and you're at a place where you have created that balance and that freedom for yourself. What are the things that you would recommend, and how do you do it for yourself?
Yeah. So I think my day usually starts somewhere between 4 and 4:30 in the morning. I actually have not woken up with an alarm clock in more than 40 years. I actually studied martial arts, Aikido, way back in high school and just out of high school. And one of the things that we got trained in is controlling your mind. So I literally can go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, and if I have to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, my mind gets me up. I wake up when I need to wake up. But my typical day starts somewhere around 30 or 5 in the morning, and I go out onto the couch and drink my coffee and do my miracle morning. And then I get to the gym somewhere around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm there for probably an hour and a half at the gym between running and weightlifting and etc. I also do the other days of the week, I do quite a bit of road cycling. So I cycle anywhere between probably 100 and 150 miles a week on my bicycle. In fact, this Saturday we'll be doing like a 55-mile bike ride on Saturday. And then I typically finish my miracle morning with my journaling after I get back from the gym and kind of the whole blood's flowing and my mind's there. And then I get ready for the day. And then I've done a lot of business networking over the years. And pre-COVID, it was all in person. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays around lunchtime, I have business networking groups that I belong to. And they were all live. When COVID hit, we had to switch to, Zoom meetings. And so that kind of is how my day's been. And then with COVID, a lot changed because people weren't wanting to get together and do what we would call a one-on-one, a coffee meeting where we get to know and connect with each other. So that ended up being more Zoom related as well. And then I was looking for, and some friends introduced me to a few other options of how to connect with people all over the country. So one of them is called Lunch Club that I've been doing and meeting some great people. Another one's called Be Connected, where I've been able to connect with people literally all over the country, all over the world that I never would have been able to had COVID not hit and the pandemic locked us down. I think that we wouldn't have gotten there. Maybe eventually, but certainly not the way we have now. So that's kind of what my day looks like. When I get done here with us, I'll be getting ready to go to two of my networking groups are going back to live meetings now here in Phoenix, small groups, but beginning to grow. And then I fill the rest of the day with, my personal work activity, which is typically connecting with people, so that's where I'll do those coffee meetings or my Zoom meetings and connect with people. And then the end of the day, there's dinner time, usually around 5:30 or 6. I eat pretty early. And then bedtime is somewhere between 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night, and get up and do that all over again. But going back to my prior career in the restaurant industry, every day felt like a grind. While I enjoyed it, it was also a grind. And what I've noticed in where I'm at today in creating my life the way I want it to, even though there is a grind that we go through in a routine each and every day, it doesn't occur or feel for me like it's a grind. Some days are better than others, but at the end of the day, I'm not like, am I really doing the right thing here? Am I in the place that I need to be? And that was part of quite a few years in my restaurant career, thinking that way, like, do I really want to do this for the next, 15 or 20 years? But here where I'm at today, that just does not occur because my life has that balance.
Yeah. And I've heard that balance that you're talking about be called like a lifestyle job. So I have a lifestyle job, so we don't almost to the place where it's a job and it pays the bills and it doesn't feel so much like a job, and it doesn't feel like what you were talking about with the grind. So it's more of a lifestyle job that can be done and you can take breaks from, and it's got that free flowing feeling to it, which to me from what you're explaining feels a lot more balanced and more free and just more just feels better to me, how you're describing it.
How would I want to say this? Comfortable and not like it's just at ease. I'm much more at ease in life. And I think when you're at ease in life, things show up and flow much better than in a state of resistance in life or frustration in life.
Yeah, definitely. So as you're telling your story, is there someone or something or some book or something that has helped you get to where you are? Like if you were to say you could only choose one or two things and just highlight, what supported you in this transformation so that for me, it feels like you have wings and you can fly. And it feels like you just are happy and you figured it out for what works for Phil.
So I think there's several things. So personal development work is extremely critical, in my opinion, especially as entrepreneurs, because when you're in a corporate job or a business, you're kind of told this is what you do, and it's very plotted out for you, right? And once you kind of get into that entrepreneurial space, you've got to grow, and your leadership's different. So my leadership today is completely different than it was when I was in my restaurant career. And back then it was a leadership of authority and position. And I was very good at it. You know, a lot of my employees loved me. Some of them probably didn't like me, and some were probably somewhere in the middle. But when I transitioned into, the sales career and what I do now, I found that you had to really become a true servant leader. And the only way you get there is by finding the things in yourself that aren't working and making improvements on them. So I've done a lot of personal development work. I think one of the best books that I would recommend to anybody is actually The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. His last name is Elrod, and it is a game changer book. And everybody that I have shared that book with that's read it has said, oh my God, this completely changed my productivity, my focus in the day, because they took that first 30 to 45 minutes in the morning and it was all about them. And yes, they maybe had to get up earlier to beat the family up or whatever so that they could have that quality time for themselves. But the results that showed up were just astronomical, beneficial to them. So that would be one of the books that really helped me move forward. And then the personal development work and continuing to read books, great books, and autobiographies. I like a lot of biographies on personal development, leaders, and things like that.
Yeah, wow. The way you tell the story makes me want to go buy the book right now. I want that kind of transformation in my morning, and then to see, what can occur from that. I'm excited. I will have to look that up. And I'm a big listener of books. I'm not a big sit down and read kind of gal, but I love to listen while I'm running or walking the dog or driving my kids around. So I'll look that one up and see if I can find it in an audio book for myself.
I believe it is on Audible.
Audible, perfect. That's what I use. Great. So that was great advice. Thank you, or insights. And then what would you say is your biggest challenge?
I think for me, the biggest challenge is letting things, I think we all want, and I know for myself, we typically want things much faster than they're meant to be. And so for me, I definitely am better at that than I would have been in my earlier years in my corporate career and all that, because it was much more tangible to be able to see where I was going in my corporate career. So for me, it's really, the challenge is just going, okay, have you done enough today? Did you give it your best, and understand that every single day is going to be a different best. In fact, another great book is The 4 Agreements. Is a great book, and every single day is going to be different. So for me, I think that's probably the challenge, is doing enough to continue to move forward, but also not so much that my life gets out of balance for myself.
I got it. Our business is called BlitzBe, and the reason it's called BlitzBe is exactly what you just said. We do our checklist, blitz, blitz, blitz. Who are we being when we're in the doing? And so that's where our business comes from, is blitz and be, so that we marry those things and we find balance in every aspect of our life. So not just at work, not just with our families, not just with our friends, but with our finances, with our time, with our health, with everything, so that there is that balance. That's awesome. Thank you. So we talked a little bit about how you're taking care of yourself. What we haven't talked about is, where's your business? Like in 12 months from now, where would you like to see your business? Legacy, the legacy business.
So interestingly enough, I actually have, I believe my business will double in the next 12 months. And inside of COVID, there's been another opportunity that has come along for me, and it's all about connecting with people. And so I've actually become a part of a ownership of a chamber of commerce, an actual for-profit chamber of commerce, where most people know chambers of commerce are run by their city and they're a nonprofit, and there's nothing wrong with those. But for me, I've always been looking at how do I expand my impact? How do I meet and connect with more people? And this opportunity came along with me, to me earlier this year. And, we've had some challenges inside of that with COVID, because typically a chamber does a lot of in-person meetings. We're just getting back to that, but that's going to actually give me probably at least probably double the amount of people that I'll have connections with over the next year versus what I had in 2019 and what I've had this year. So I truly believe it'll double in the next year.
Excellent. Yeah, doubling a business in a year sounds great. And through those networking connections, I find that to be, especially with COVID, just so important right now, networking and referrals. And yeah, for sure.
But I think also asking for what you want. So, many times we're afraid to ask, so in one of my networking groups on Zoom, I found out that we were opening a new country in the Philippines, and I just posted in our group page on Facebook, a private page, hey, I'm looking for connections in Philippines, and I got 3 or 4 connections, and I've got some stuff now that looks like it's going to actually start happening in the Philippines. That you've just got to be able to ask the questions, and the networking. Like, I never would have gotten into that country had it not been for asking and having strong relationships, that people are willing to go, yes, I know somebody, let me get you connected with them.
Yeah, awesome. That's great to be able to have those connections and be able to support each other in this environment. I mean, we as entrepreneurs are just human beings. It's great to be able to support each other in that way and expand our horizons.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you're talking about making those networking connections, who would your target community be?
My target community is men and women. Typically, demographically, they're somewhere between 35 and 55 years old. They are what I would call successfully discontent, meaning that they've been doing what they've been doing for 10, 15 years, maybe longer. They're very good at what they're doing, but they're discontent. They're disenchanted with the company, the industry, maybe where things are heading. But they feel like they're kind of handcuffed, golden handcuffs to their job. And then they're also health and wellness related, or focused in their life. And they're dominantly in North America, is kind of my sweet spot at this point in time.
Excellent. That kind of narrows it down, and it's a bit of an open window too, having the men and women in the age group so that people can find you and connect to you if they fit in your target market. I just have one last question for you. And the last question is the most important question. How can I serve you?
Well, how can you serve me? I think you're actually doing it right here, to be honest with you. So the whole podcast thing, interviews, is not something that I've done much of and kind of have shied away from. I did a few, even Facebook Lives. The only time I'll really do a Facebook Live is when I was training for a triathlon. I would do Triathlon Tuesday. And so I know that for me, I need to move out of this comfort zone and that's all showboat stuff and all of this. So actually, I've been interviewed twice just recently. You today and another one about last week that wanted me on their show. And so that in itself is huge for me, because I think that it gives me the opportunity to get out of my comfort zone, hopefully make a contribution to your community, and vice versa. Maybe your community connects with me, but then also to start looking for myself and going, okay, should I be doing something like this? And having a resource like you that I can bounce ideas off of how do I get started on this if I want to, and be comfortable with the process. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. What I would say to some of that is not unlike anything else in the rest of your life. When you started doing triathlons, I'm sure you didn't really know what to do. You didn't know, obviously you've got to run, you've got to bike, you've got to swim. Well, how much? How far? How many times a week do you have to bike, run, and swim? Do you, how do you figure out which bike to use? How do you figure out what suit to wear? There's a lot of questions that come along with just doing a triathlon. So it's like that. Jump in, get started. At the beginning, there's some intrepidation. There's some, questions that come up for you. And at first I should speak for myself. I look stupid. I don't know what questions to ask. I don't really feel so comfortable. And you can tell, and as you get better and better and better at it, you get better at it. And so it's just like working that muscle for your triathlon or just for running or push-ups or whatever. It's working a muscle. So I would say that, you already have the skills to do anything that you want. You are successful with multiple different businesses, multiple different things, with a family, with everything. Take those same principles, apply them to anything that you want. Take that formula, I'd say, and then you can do anything you want. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Phil, for your time. And I look forward to following your journey and connecting with you. And I will bring, when I think of people who could use your services, I will make sure that I send them to you also.
Awesome.
Reach out for you. Okay. Well,
great. Thank you.
Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Awesome.